when you shop for summer clothes. Think pink, pink, pink if you want that kelp that shows. Red is dead, blue is through, green's obscene, brown's taboo, and there is not the slightest excuse for plum abuse or chartreuse. Think pink.
G'day gorgeous. I just had one of those laughingly funny moments where I couldn't get the camera to work. I couldn't work out why I couldn't see anything. Yeah, I had the lens cap still on. Anyway, and I've been sitting in the sun, so now my eyes are watering. Okay, so I hope you've had a good week. One of the things that I wanted to just chat to you about was I'm off for a holiday. So yeah, I'm off to nice warm sunny Bali, actually to go to the B1G1 conference, which is short for Buy One Give One. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to soak up some nice warm sunshine because as you can tell, it's a little bit cool here. Midwinter, had winter solstice last night, so everything, you know, starts getting longer from here on in, which is great. I love the warm weather. I really don't like living in a place where it gets very cold. Anyway, I was having a chat about the next workshop that I'm running here about Divine Diva and talking about what that's about in terms of food and weight. And it's really about understanding the psychological barriers to weight loss and why it's so hard sometimes and the things that we do to sabotage ourselves. I was having a conversation with a client about the fact that even when we know, so we've kind of dealt with a lot of the issues from the past, we know what we need to be doing to make sure that we're doing it, you know, healthy. But sometimes we have a particular emotional trigger and you find yourself standing in front of the block of chocolate, scoffing the tub of ice cream, eating the packet of Tim Tams, you know, glugging down half a bottle of wine, whatever is your poison. At that point, there often is a huge level of, you know, after guilt and issues about, am I ever going to get it together, you know, or do I just keep doing this to myself all the time? And I really would encourage you to take some time at that moment when it's happening, not after. After is a bit too late, the guilt kicks in. When it's happening, I want you to be able to stop and just look at what you're doing. Not for the purposes of stopping what you're doing, I'm not saying that. But try and think at the time that it's happening, what am I feeling? What am I actually trying to address at this point? So if it's, for example, there's an emotional trigger and you know what that emotional trigger is, then I want you to just acknowledge the emotional trigger. Acknowledge that you're now doing what you're doing to make yourself feel better, okay? Try and limit the damage that you do. And then at that point kind of go, okay, I need to address this so that I don't keep approaching it in this way because this way doesn't serve me very well and it doesn't help. So my example of this, I talk about, I remember a particular time last year, eating really healthy and everything had been really good. And but I walked in the door after a particular altercation with somebody and I was feeling really kind of hurt, I suppose, and rejected. And I was straight into the chocolate and I'm standing there and I'm scoffing the chocolate and I'm thinking, I know why I'm doing this. I know why I feel the need to just scoff. And at that point I was able to kind of just acknowledge it. I finished what I was doing, you know, the gobful, and I just stopped and acknowledged that that's actually the pain that I was feeling and what I was trying to kind of soothe was actually this sense that I had of being, you know, judged or rejected. And I acknowledged it, and because I acknowledged it, I was able to stop. Now, at that point, you know, these days, a block of chocolate for me is like 100 grams of Lindt as opposed to the 250 grams of Cadbury Dairy Milk that it used to be when I was younger. So the damage is not quite so bad. Usually if I feel like scoffing the whole block, I can stop myself after a couple of rows, so that's the first thing. But the other thing is just to acknowledge the sense of I have an emotional need that I'm trying to feed. And I stop and I make myself aware of it. And at that point in time, there's not judgment. There's an acknowledgement that it's feeding a purpose. It's doing something for me. I may not like how it's doing it or why it's doing it, but it's doing something for me. And I just want to acknowledge what that something is. And stop it at a point where I still feel like I can manage it and be in control of it. Rather than kind of going, well, see, I've stuffed it now and I'm just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I may as well just finish off, the 2 litres of ice cream or whatever it is, or get another block of chocolate, or add to it with a bottle of wine, right? So it's important to understand, because if we don't stop ourselves at the moment when the emotional drive is happening, we often don't think or get to the basis or the feeling about what it is that we're actually trying to feed. And that makes it harder to kind of pinpoint what some of the addiction pathways that we have in order to be able to address them. So, I know that when I feel very frustrated and I want to tell somebody something, often chocolate gives me a way to stuff the words in so that I don't say what I really think. And my acknowledgement of that means that I'm better aware when that's what I find myself sort of doing. I know that that's why I'm doing it, and I try and work out some other way to communicate to that person whatever it is that I feel I need to be able to say. Alright, so I hope that was helpful. The main thing to remember in all of that is try and work out what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it without the guilt. Okay, just acknowledge that this is what you're doing and it serves a purpose, right? If we just look at it as guilt and uselessness, look, I can't do it again, I've stuffed it up, whatever, you're actually missing the opportunity to get a better understanding of yourself and your addictive kind of food behaviours. Okay, so I hope that was useful. If it was, you know what to do. Share it with your friends, okay? They're all freebies. Can't help to share them around, okay? All right. See you later, gorgeous. Oh, I'll do these from Bali next week, by the way. Next couple of weeks. Bali vlogs. I think I'll be a bit happy and, with any luck, a little bit suntanned. Okay, see you soon.
Pink for cheeks and pink at your lips, pink for shirts and all of your slips, just a touch of pink at your knees, and if you please, what?